Welcome, everybody, to the second episode of Your Fave Game, the podcast that kind of started out as just me messing around on Twitter, and apparently a lot of people actually dug the idea, so we're now on episode 2. I'm slowly going to be trying to get like a tiny bit more professional with this. If you're listening to this right now live or shortly after it uploads, we're probably not available on all podcast stations yet, but slowly but surely we're getting added to there. I signed up with one of those companies that puts your podcast out on all the main platforms. So I think we're up on Spotify and Podshack or something, but we're still waiting on Apple. So once that happens, we'll actually start advertising fully and trying to build up a viewer base and things like that. But for now, we're just focusing on the nice, chill-ass conversations. So this is Your Fave Game. It's a podcast where I invite a random guest on every episode, and I just ask them, what's your fave game? And we just go from there. Wherever the conversation leads, because I just want to hear people talking about video games that mean a lot to them, why it means a lot to them, and then I'm not gonna shut down whatever conversation comes from that, because this is all just chill. It's just a laid back stream environment. And yeah, I'm excited. So today our guest, who I'm gonna give a call in just a second and hope they pick up, is my good friend Cait. They are a super duper talented artist that you should all follow on Twitter. And they are very, very involved in the Kingdom Hearts fandom. And so today, I do believe we're going to be talking about a Kingdom Hearts game. And I'm excited to hear more about this. And I imagine I'm probably going to get threatened into playing more of these games by the end of the episode. Hello?
Oh my god.
Oh, hey, you're here.
Sorry, I had to mute your stream. I got 5 instances of your voice, and
you're gonna get double jish.
That's more than I can handle, to be honest.
That is about a jish and a half too far.
I remember I stayed a week with you, and I was like, that's a little bit too much. I think that's enough.
Wow.
For the next 3 years.
Wow.
Hi.
Hi, how's it going? How have you been? Well, we should actually catch up before we start talking about video games. I feel like we haven't talked in forever.
Because we haven't, because I'm kind of a recluse at the moment.
I'm very much a recluse at the moment. I'm slowly getting out of the recluse portion, but yeah, I didn't talk to anybody for 6 months online here, or any of our peeps.
Well, the last time I saw you in person was actually last year, because you let me and my best friend stay at your house to see the Kingdom Hearts Orchestra in Toronto.
Was that actually a year ago?
That was a year ago.
Oh my god, time means time always means nothing, but time extra means nothing. Holy shit.
I know, I still have fever dreams about the Kingdom Hearts Orchestra, because I think I cried at least 6 times. I say at least because I feel like I blacked out halfway through the performance.
You know there's a minimum of there. You don't know what happened during the blackouts.
Yeah. It was so good. I just thought about the Kingdom Hearts Orchestra by itself.
What's your favorite video game? The Kingdom Hearts Orchestra.
Orchestra.
Specifically when they played in Toronto in July 2019.
Yeah, it was...
That's the best video game.
Epic.
Epic gamer time.
I am... Yeah, every day that passes that I am in my home, I've been watching a lot of streams lately. All of them mostly Kingdom Hearts 2 related. Go fucking figure. Sorry, can I swear?
Oh yeah, no, we don't give don't give a hickory heck about swearing here.
Well, I was thinking if you were gonna put it on a platform that it wouldn't be
I don't.
This is 18 plus because Caitlin couldn't stop her potty mouth.
I feel like if I tried to I would just forget if I tried to censor people, and I'd be like, you can't fucking swear, it's unironically, and then that would just be a shit show. So I'm fine with the explicit tag on this podcast.
I feel so bad.
I'll take the income loss from not being able to share this on christianpodcast.com.
How are you going to set up your Christian Mingle account now?
I don't even. You know, you got to make sacrifices for your art and what you believe in sometimes.
I don't know why I went straight to Christian Mingle. It's not a streaming service, but
Look,
it's fine.
Everyone's trying to get in on that pie now that Mixer's dead. So if Christian Mingle's trying to make a competitor, like they're free to try. If Christian Mingle wants to unironically like pay me to stream for them, like if it was a good enough deal, maybe.
You lived in PEI, so like you know stuff.
Exactly. I could.
The most I know about religion is the Prince of Egypt.
I should. You know what? That would actually be a really good hustle. Like not like in a bad not in a bad way, but just to be like. I think there's a market for like church-related clickbait for video games. So like why Jesus wouldn't approve of the new direction of Halo Infinite is what I should upload tomorrow.
I feel like there's like some kind of religious symbolism in Kingdom Hearts somewhere, but I am too incredibly dumb to even begin to crack that open. And I feel bad that I am.
You know that's what this podcast is about, right? Like I'm very, very well educated in religious symbolism in video games. So I'm actually doing my PhD at the moment. So you better have your academic credentials ready.
I don't. I feel so bad because I'm coming after, like, I'm the second episode. I'm following Todd. And Todd is so smart, and he knows so much about games, and he's so articulate. And I'm going to be like, poo poo pee pee, I fucking love Kingdom Hearts. And it's just going to be that for like 4 hours. You will... Hopefully not 4 hours. Please end me before I get to this point. Like, literally just be like, you have to
I think we have to tap out at 3.5. But I was thinking that last night because I think that most of the episodes of this podcast are going to be like just splurging, for lack of a better term, pee pee poo poo, this game is good. I feel like that's how mostly it's going to go. But yeah, having Todd on first probably set like a high bar in terms of like how deep we might be getting with this.
He's so smart, and I'm wind in a bag. I am fart incarnate. Like, I can't. You're gonna hear a lot of and a lot of.
As long as the enthusiasm's there, and if there's anything I know about you, it's that you're enthusiastic about Kingdom Hearts. So yeah. we're gonna be good. But okay, before I ask you the titular question of the show. Do you want to like introduce yourself to the audience or like give give your credential?
Yeah, that's probably a good thing. Hello, Twitch chat. It was very poggers of you to be here. I'm very fluent in Twitch lingo, Pepe hands or some shit. I'm Cait. I go by the name Texka. Some of you might actually know me. I used to be Josh's roommate a long time ago, and I used to be on his streams a lot. And I used to stream a lot, like games and stuff. And I used to go by the alias Gurasen.
Professional
like,
Overwatch streamer.
Yeah, I used to like stream Overwatch when that was relevant for like 68 hours a day, and I only played like quick play because I sucked so bad. I recently dropped that handle. I ran away into the night because I wanted to stop streaming games. Oh my god, stop streaming gaming to like get better. I wanted to focus and pursue a career in art. Mm-hmm. So I'm primarily an artist, and I make fan art mostly because I don't have a creative or original bone in my goddamn body. But yeah, I've been Josh's friend for a billion years. We're going by like cat years or something.
Yeah, we're fucking ancient by this point. In YouTuber years, we're eons old.
I was doing that like in 2014 to like 2016, and like I was early 20s then, and I am so like, I mean, I'm only 26. I'm not gonna paint myself as some like ancient, crusty. I don't know. I like
we're ancient, not decrepit.
Like the character. You know the character in SpongeBob, and she's like, "Oh, I love chocolate." Like that's how I feel like I'm setting myself up to be.
Mm-hmm. We're a couple steps below that point.
Yeah,
almost there. Yeah, no, we've known each other like for a long time. Like we used to play friggin' Minecraft over Skype.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Pre-Discord times when people just had to fucking settle for Skype and everyone thought it was shit.
Dude, I can't believe that was a point in our lives.
God.
But anyway, that's me. I'm not an epic YouTuber or a Twitch streamer or anything, and I actually really don't have any sort of credentials for me to talk about a game to any sort of capacity that would like stimulate neurons in your brain. So you're not going to learn anything, I don't think, except for like my deeply personal feelings about Kingdom Hearts 2.
But that's what I'm excited about because okay, here is my experience with Kingdom Hearts. Well, okay, yeah. actually, tell me. Okay.
I need to know where to start.
Yeah, okay. So my experience with Kingdom Hearts is basically I should have played through like all these games already. I haven't yet, but I should have because like action RPG plus Disney shit feels like that should be incredibly my cup of tea because the whole like musical theater like upbringing and stuff like that. Like I'm really into Disney shit, so it's weird to me. I feel weirded out that I'm not more into Kingdom Hearts yet. And it's just
what the fuck?
It's one of those series that like I've tried a few times, but it hasn't quite clicked yet, and I'm hoping. Because I do that so much is I try to get into like a game or a franchise or something and I like kind of bounce off it at first and then eventually I finally get far enough in it that it like gets its hooks in and then I like finish the whole thing in like a week or something. So I'm still waiting for that like click moment with Kingdom Hearts, but my main experience with it is because I think there actually might be like a couple people I follow, but I think it's like mostly you. But you're like you're very active like in the Kingdom Hearts like fan and like fan art community. So
unfortunately.
But like so just every now and then like in my feed I'll get like, oh, this is what the Kingdom Hearts fandom like thinks of this thing, or like it's this day in the Kingdom Hearts fandom or something like that. So I was trying to think of like a metaphor to use for it, and I'm like, it's like a house party that's happening next door, and it's not too loud. They're not like bothering anyone, and just every now and then I get to hear a little like cheer because something good happened, and I get to be like, I'm glad that they're having fun. I'm glad someone just like finished off a keg or whatever the like house party equivalent would be. So
it's the fattest fucking bong you've ever seen.
Exactly. Like someone's having a good time and I'm happy for it. And I feel like there's a few fandoms that I'm not like in, but I have friends that are like super into them. So I get to just be like on the sidelines being like, yay, this thing. I'm happy for you all, even though I don't understand it at all. But
well, recently there was a new game that was announced, Melody of Memory or something. And like, if you're a longtime Kingdom Hearts fan like myself, I'm not disappointed because I don't have expectations to begin with, in the sense that I'm like, I'm going to get like, if there's ever a subtitle, I'm like, this isn't going to be some like backflipping, come to Jesus AAA title. This is going to be a rhythm game. And we all made jokes about how Melody of Memory, because it got leaked, like the title got leaked.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, haha, Nomura's gonna make a rhythm game. And everyone was like, he's not gonna make a rhythm game. He's making a fucking rhythm game. And it's coming out on Twitch and PS4 and Xbox One.
That's amazing. Because like with the Kingdom Hearts like naming convention, like Melody of Memory could have been like anything.
Well, okay, here's the thing. Nomura is so good at incorporating like his themes of the game into the actual gameplay. And also, yes, he wants to make a musical. Like Kingdom Hearts 2 has a very infamous world. It's Atlantica. It's Little Mermaid world. And it's all really bad. It's not even a rhythm game. It's like, can you press this QTE? And it's to Little Mermaid songs and then original songs. You get to hear Haley Joel Osment, little like 16-year-old Haley Joel Osment poorly sing a song with Donald and Goofy and Ariel, because he really wanted to make a musical. like, and Yoko Shimomura, who is like the main, she's the composer, and she makes beautiful music. Even if you don't like Kingdom Hearts, please go listen to the soundtrack. I didn't know she was at Anime Boston one year, and I missed her, and I actually like cried because I was like, I want to meet her so much. This is my mom.
I'm super into that idea of like a video game musical. Like, yes, please.
Well, he's doing it now. He was like, I'm gonna get my musical game, and it's all like soundtrack stuff. So it's just kind of inherently funny because it's like a sprite of Sora like flying around, and then there's like a in the trailer it showed him and Goofy and Donald flying around over like essentially a character death.
Oh god!
Like, yeah, I'm not joking. And I was like, or not. No, it wasn't a character death. It was like maybe that was a meme. See, here's the thing. I can't remember if things
you don't know which is the real trailer or not. It all just blends together.
Is it really? Okay, it's in the trailer. Sorry, I'm like interacting with Twitch chat. There's some people actually I know from the KH fandom who follow me. Hi, I love you. Thank you.
Hello, Kingdom Hearts fandom. Here. I'm here to learn.
Okay, that is real. Okay, because like I really can't remember if something is meme or not. Like I'm for real. Anyway, would you like to ask the titular question?
Yeah, we should probably get to that like 15 minutes.
Because I already told you, I warned you. I was like, I'm gonna go on a tangent, and you were like, it's fine, and I'm like, it's not fine.
Okay. Before we get off track again, Cait, what's your fave game?
Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh! Okay.
Oh, I love it.
So, do you have like? Do you know like specifically what makes it your favorite, or like what you want to start with, or should I just ask like why Kingdom Hearts 2 over the other games? Like which would be better, do you think, to start with?
Well, you basically said like why over the other one. I think it's because it came around like it released at like the exact right time. Like this was like. I think it was 2005 in Japan, and I think it was 2006 here, so I was 11 or 12. I never know how old I was at any point in given time, but I know I was old enough to be heavily influenced by really sad anime children. And it was at the point, like, one of the main characters in Kingdom Hearts 2 is Roxas, and I tried to learn how to skateboard because of Roxas.
Oh,
I wanted to be Roxas.
My God.
And he wears a checkered wristband. And I started wearing a checkered wristband, and I wore that checkered wristband from the time I was 12 years old to when I was 18. I think it was until I graduated high school. And it was the same one, too. It was disgusting. Like, it wasn't the same color. But I would wear it all the time to the point where, like, people in my class...
You became Roxas.
Yeah, where people in my class were like, hey, like, like these girls are like, hey, are you emo? I just don't, are you emo? Like, are you? I did watch it. It was still disgusting. It was like a 7-year-old, piece of fabric that I wore everywhere. My body got such a natural grease layer on it.
Stains.
Yeah, well, I got like Crisco skin, so... Of course, it's gonna be disgusting.
Teenage years. Oh yeah, that is a good question from chat. You still have it?
Yeah, it's somewhere. Like I know I still have it. It's hard to say where it is. I recently moved like 2 months ago, which is why I feel bad if the audio quality is really crappy, because I'm actually recording with a Skull Candy headphone. I don't know where my Yeti is or my pop filter. They're in the abyss somewhere, and I've like fully unpacked, but we have stuff in like a container.
I mean, I guess chat can like argue with me if they want, but like I think the audio quality is good. I think it's at acceptable for like if you're already accepting that this is a show I'm doing over Discord. I think you can accept like the like it's okay audio quality. I think. Yeah, and chat agrees.
All right.
Beautiful.
Okay, that's good. I was worried because I was like, I'm not going to be a professional YouTuber anymore. I lost my Yeti, my blue Yeti or some shit.
I have the weirdest setup at the moment because I did upgrade within the past couple years to get like an actual like microphone. So that's what like the stream's hearing. But then like I have the gaming PC and I have the streaming PC. I have one of those fucking setups.
Wow, I don't have any PCs.
The streaming PC was literally like a $200 used PC I got off Kijiji, like before quarantine started.
I thought you were flexing on me.
No, this is not a flex at all.
Crackers and a MacBook because that's like 15 years old.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. I'm gonna go back talking about.
Oh yeah. I was going off on some weird tangent about mics, but yes.
I was just like
back to the anime.
I'm not a real YouTuber. But yeah, so it came in a really good time for me. I was like super heavily influenced by anime and manga already. Like my favorite thing on the planet was Tokyo Mew Mew and like Naruto and some shit. And I was also at that age where like, and D Gray Man, and Kingdom Hearts had this like weird emo ska, pretty Square Enix particle effects like aesthetic, and I was like, oh my god. And I don't know if you've ever seen the openings to any of the Kingdom Hearts games. Like,
I've seen the first one.
They have like Utada Hikaru songs. They're beautiful. I mean, like simple and clean. It's just,
anime boys falling through the water, reaching out to each other.
They fall all the time.
Yeah,
they just fall, but it's pretty falling. And then there's like, I knew immediately because like, how do I explain myself? Okay, Kingdom Hearts 2 wasn't my first game, but it was like the first game I understood because. I didn't have a PS2. I actually played the entirety of Kingdom Hearts 2 at my friend's house because I didn't have a PS2. Because back in the day, mainstay Kingdom Hearts titles, like the big titles, like 1, 2, basically 1 and 2, because 3 just came out last year.
Finally.
They were always on PS2. They were always on home consoles, but everything else in between was on a specific handheld that Square Enix had like a deal with, and for the longest time it was Nintendo. So I did have those. So I had my Game Boy Advance, my DS, and then Birth by Sleep was on PSP, and I didn't have a PSP, and I wasn't gonna go buy one for Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep because I was stupid and poor. So my first thing was like I remember I used to go over to my friend's house. I had a big crush on her. I used to go do marionette puppet shows at Sunday church and Baptist whatever because I liked her so much.
That just knocked me back to like rural Canadian upbringing.
That's where we are.
Yeah, making friends at church.
I didn't even go to church. She did, and I was like, I love this girl.
I'll go to church for you.
Or something, and whatever. Anyway, so she had Kingdom Hearts 1, and I only briefly knew what it was, and I was just like, that's interesting. And then the first game I actually truly played to completion was Chain of Memories, which is actually like a middle.
Yeah, that's like 1.5, like the card one, right?
Yeah. And it was on the Game Boy, and I vaguely remembered Kingdom Hearts at the time, but I was like, first of all, the cover art for Chain of Memories is the coolest looking one. I don't care what anyone says. Like, it is so incredibly epic. Capital E, capital P, capital I, capital C, epic. And I just had to have it, and I had no idea what it was about. And like the thing is that it directly follows Kingdom Hearts 1, so, and it kind of like, it is under the impression that you knew what happened in the last game, but I didn't, and I didn't know any Final Fantasy characters, so they were, look how cool it looks.
It's nice art, I like it.
Yeah, Tetsuya Nomura, pop off.
Fucking angry Goofy, I just noticed.
Yeah, he's pissed.
Goofy's ready to fight.
but it expects you to know what happens, and you like go into like one of the main. You go into the world that is inhabited by the Final Fantasy characters, because this is, a Final Fantasy crossover.
Yeah.
And like Leon, Kingdom Hearts Final Fantasy VIII is like, I don't know who you are, and I'm like, I don't know who you are. I've never played Final Fantasy in my life. But it's like, it was really good. One of my favorite characters to this day is from that game. A lot of my favorite characters to this day is from that game. I actually really love that game's story. The gameplay is an acquired taste. I would actually play that. I would actually play the card game over Birth by Sleep any day, which is a very decisive and probably. I'm probably on the minority on that one.
That's a hot take in the fandom.
And no one likes playing Chain of Memories.
Oh.
I don't mind playing Chain of Memories. But no one really likes playing Chain of Memories. But I do. But that's probably because I grew up playing the GBA game. I thought it was cool. It took me forever to beat because I'm stupid, and I've always been a stupid kid. Okay, like I had like zero reading comprehension, and I wanted to be an English major. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a professional mangaka, and I couldn't write 2 Ways to Sunday and or read Magic Treehouse,
Oh, that's the good shit.
Yeah, I don't like 3.5. I don't like playing 3.5 either.
Oh.
Axel has speak in that game though. Anyway, so you boot up Kingdom Hearts 2, and it was actually like this like really cool moment, because a lot of people back then, they didn't have any like tellings that there was a game between 1 and 2. So you boot up the game. Utada Hikaru is singing Sanctuary or Passion, whatever you want to call it, the best song, and you're like having a great time. And like the openings usually follow a certain kind of storytelling. Like Kingdom Hearts 2 Kingdom Hearts 1 tells you things that are gonna happen, and Kingdom Hearts 2 tells you what has happened, right? So you're like following the story of Kingdom Hearts 1, and you're like, yeah, I remember that,
Previously on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, but then it goes to Chain of Memories, and I was one of the few kids that was actually like, I know what that is, whereas every other kid who didn't play that was like, who the fuck is this? And they thought they would be fighting the characters that are in there and all this stuff. But I was like, I don't know what that is. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2 came at a really good time. I would go over to my friend's house every day and we would play it. It's the first time I've actually openly cried at a video game. So much so that when we finished the game, my friend's dad came downstairs because he heard us like obnoxiously bawling, and he just sees these 2 young girls being like just openly bawling, and his only cue is there's like a Disney montage to a really sad version of Sanctuary, and like it was like full blown blubbering. I still get teary-eyed. I cried when I booted up Kingdom Hearts 3 for the first time. I heard Dearly Beloved, which is the menu music, and it always changes.
Oh, yeah. I heard so many people having, like, intense reactions to that, especially because it was, like, 15 years between the games or something for the main installments.
The main installments. For those who were uneducated. But I'm not... it was still 7 years. It was still 7 years between the last game, which was like the stepping stone to KH3. Like that was still.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was in 2012, and then Nomura stopped. Like he wasn't good. He was pulled aside to work on Final Fantasy 15, which I think in 2012 it was still supposed to be like versus 13.
Yeah, back whenever those were like 2 separate projects instead of like. Eventually, just 15 took too long. Yeah, well... Okay, or whatever happened with that, I guess.
Dream Drop Distance was the last full game, but they released like a tech demo, basically, which was like a filler episode, if you will, about Aqua and Her Time in the Realm of Darkness, and it's like an hour long, and it's just basically to show you how they're now using a different engine. Because for the longest time, the KH games were in the same engine. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually one of the people, like, I don't know if people share the same opinion as I do, but the engine that they use specifically, because like Square Enix, they have this habit of making their own engines for every single game, and I don't know why they do that. So like when KH3 came around, they started using Unreal. And it looks good, but I kind of missed the charm in the animations from the previous one. They just looked a little bit more not so like we're trying to make this like, because like for me Kingdom Hearts kind of teeters between like that realistic semi-realism anime look and like cartoon, but I know that they have the things so it's not so jarring when this spiky haired red jumpsuit little boy walks into a Tarzan world and is like, ooh, ooh, ah, means heart.
Yeah.
That's a real line. I'm not joking. That's a real line.
I gotta play these.
You have to. Right now, every single person in this chat right now, if you've never played Kingdom Hearts, it's on sale for the summer sale on the PlayStation Network. In America, it's $30. You get 7 full games and 3 cutscene movies. The 3 cutscene movies are, 2 of them are like DS cutscene remaster things because like they were not going to remake these DS games.
Yeah.
And then one's like some like deep lore movie that's it is honestly just like people talking.
Give
and
you
then
the lore.
Fade to black people talking again, fade to black. But anyway, it's 7 full games, like legit 7 full games and 3 cutscene movies, and you get it for $30 US and $40 Canadian. And it's ridiculous.
I might have to actually look into that for getting Kingdom Hearts 3, because I own like the collection they put out just before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. That was like supposed to like catch you up, but I don't actually own Kingdom Hearts 3 yet.
Okay, then you just have to buy Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
Because the all-in-one package that's on sale right now includes Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
So you would just have to buy... But Kingdom Hearts 3 is also on sale.
Nice.
So... And also, when you start, please tell me.
I will, yeah. At the moment, I'm currently playing through Ghost of Tsushima. And that's been really fun being a samurai, but yeah, I could see myself starting Kingdom Hearts soon. I've been enjoying having like a game that I mostly play like off stream, so that actually would be a nice game to do that with. I feel like.
Oh yeah, and like the gameplay in itself, I love the gameplay of Kingdom Hearts. Like the main stake. The main core games. The main core games follow the same kind of thing, but a lot of the side games, they'll have like a sort of gimmick to it, which is fine. I think it's because like when he has the side games, he kind of has Nomura has the playground to do whatever he wants, but he knows if he ever fucked with anything in like the core games, people would be really angry at him. But people are gonna be angry at him, so whatever. But action RPG. Has like a RPG kind of like command menu that you can go through, so it's like a combination of just like hack and slash. I say hack and slash, but like it can get so technical. Like I think what I like the most about Kingdom Hearts is that like, I mean, you can beat it as a casual player, no problem. But like when you beat it on the hardest difficulty, like you feel like you are God Gamer. Like you should go to like Evo, even though Evo doesn't even do
competitive Kingdom Hearts.
But yeah, competitive Kingdom Hearts.
I've seen like streamers like doing like the super hard bosses or like the high difficulties and stuff, and yeah, like the speed with which they have to like go through the menus and like keep track of shit, like the game seems to get complicated fast.
Oh yeah, and like when you start to get it and you start getting reactionary and you start thinking like ahead or like, that's the smartest I've ever felt. Like, I've gone to college. I felt smarter beating the organization in Kingdom Hearts 3. When I beat Yuzora, I was like, ah! And then I threw my degree on the ground and I spat on it because it's useless to me now.
You have all you need.
Yeah, I'm a competitive God gamer. I don't need my degree.
So
Sorry, I was taking a drink. I had to get one alcoholic beverage because I was really nervous because I was like, I have to be not a gremlin. Like I have to be somewhat professional.
like
Professional podcast.
super. You know me. I am the most. I have my shit the most together of any human being on the planet. Obviously.
Yeah, the speedruns are so crazy. Whenever there's I watch KH2 speedruns like all the time, but whenever there's a speedrun on at like AGDQ or SGDQ, I'm always like, the Kingdom Hearts ones are always so involved too because they sing Disney songs, albeit mostly terrible, like during the gummy ship missions. But it's so
I've seen those segments.
It's so wholesome. I don't care.
No, stuff like that is good. A bunch of gamers like they're doing it for friggin' charity and they're singing Disney songs together. That's lovely. I love stuff like that.
Yeah. Like, you cringe, but you cringe with love. Big cringe.
Exactly. There is positive cringe, and it's a good thing.
It's it's so much fun. It's so tight. It's so good. The only qualm I have with KH2 gameplay wise is that you don't start with a dodge roll. And you have to earn your dodge roll. You get a dodge roll in KH1, so like you go into KH2 and then you're like, where's my dodge roll?
Oh god. That if I played like Majora's Mask or something and I couldn't like roll as Link, I'd be like, did my game get defective?
Yeah, it was definitely something I had to like learn again, like especially because you get it again in KH3. So like when I was going back and when I was trying to
is it like not a thing like the entire game? Like you can't dodge or like does dodging work differently in KH2 compared to the other two main ones?
Well, for a long time you would just have quick run, but here's the thing: whenever a Kingdom Hearts main title is released, a year later, there's usually a re-release of that game, and it's called Final Mix, where they take the game and they look at it critically, and then they add things that are cool and adjust things. So
George Lucas Special Edition.
Yeah, basically, and when you bought all that stuff, it came with obviously the final version.
Okay. But
in the original case, there was no dodge roll because what they did in the final mix version is they added like a special form that Sora can get, and then you can get dodge roll.
So it's like more of an Easter egg than like a main game mechanic.
It's not an Easter egg. It's still a main game mechanic.
Okay.
There's always like this special thing. Like in each game, there's like a special thing. Except for KH1 because it's the first one, but like KH2, Sora gets dry forms, and they're like these. They have very specific uses, and you can use like a gauge and turn into like a Sora that uses better magic, Sora that is better at combos. And the one they added was limit form, and it actually gives you the moveset of Sora from the first game, so you can do dodge roll. Yeah, but there's also like a learning component too, because if you level up these skills, then Sora can just use them naturally without having to go into his dry forms.
Okay. So that's interesting.
That's kind of like the grindy element, I would say, because like I mean it's a JRPG. There's always going to be some like grind like that. Though I never really felt I had to grind too much playing KH, like ever, unless I was trying to specifically plat it and or try to fight the super bosses. Which are fun. Like, I mean, obviously, I went off about how rewarding it is. But, I'm talking about the gameplay and stuff because I want to, like, sound smart and I want to, like, sell you on this. But, like, the gameplay isn't what sold me on KH to begin with.
Yeah.
Like I saw Anime Boys.
Yeah, I was going to ask that because, like, it seems like the fandom for this game is, like, really, really passionate and intense, and I mean that like in a positive way. I'm sure there's like some negative aspects to it, but but like that's every fandom. But poggers.
Yeah, big fandom.
Yeah.
No, you're saying big fandom. Wholly positive. I mean, Kingdom Hearts in itself is a very decisive. Is that what it's called? Divisive game.
Divisive.
Divisive.
That's what I was gonna say, because I feel like, like a lot of like the default, like if you're talking about Kingdom Hearts, is people like kind of go for like the Mimi stuff first, which is like, oh, like the names of the games are ridiculous, or like Final Fantasy and Disney, or like the story is too complicated and all that thing. And then what I find really interesting about the Kingdom Hearts fandom, like from the overlap I kind of see from you, is that the Kingdom Hearts fandom absolutely knows all that shit, but like loves it.
Oh yeah.
And like I think that's so cool. And so I guess I kind of want to hear like your perspective on it, of like embracing like that ridiculousness, and also like I guess finding, because obviously like even besides like the stuff that like you can say like, oh, that's like a little bit silly, like out of context or whatever, like obviously like there's some kind of big emotional heart to this like series that like alongside the meminess is making people like be so invested in it and invested in these characters.
Oh yeah. And it's there's definitely like different parts of that group, because I find there are the people who, this is gonna sound bad, but it's like the gay Kingdom Hearts fans and the straight ones. And the straight ones care about the gameplay, and we care about the story and any sort of gay subtext that we can nibble our little nibblers on. And Nomura is like an old man at a pond, and we're like koi fish, and he's throwing out breadcrumbs. Just a sprinkle of gay shit over here, sprinkle of gay shit over here, and we're
for
feasting.
Seasoning.
Yeah, and like, I have seen posts that are about Riku blinking a certain way, you know? But I'm like, you know what? You do you.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. It's so...
Well, like, so I've noticed that aspect about it. Like, there's like, you post a lot of like shipping art, or like we'll retweet like different shipping art and stuff like that. And that's honestly like like it almost seems to me like people have like Love Live and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, this like collection of like all these characters and girls to collect, and like it feels like Kingdom Hearts is like also like this actual game series, but there's so many like anime boy characters with like all these different like personalities and stuff, that there's just like so much like there's so much content you can get out of that, like in terms of fandom, and like so many different like character relationships you can like expand upon within the fandom and stuff. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. I also wanted to congratulate you for remembering that I liked Love Live. That stupid gotcha game that stole all my money because I needed JPEGs of teeny popper idols or I would have died. But yeah, and there's also a Kingdom Hearts mobile game which also has a gotcha element, like a lottery element. Mm-hmm. So helpful, Christ. But anyway, yeah, the people that I surround myself with, I genuinely enjoy the same content I do and are really in the same space as me, mm-hmm. where like I'm in it for the story. I've gotten a lot of my friends who I've had a few people who I've talked to who have either gotten into the game recently, because a lot of people knew about it, mm-hmm. and they didn't really get into it until I want to say around 2017, because I think that's when the remixes, like the HD collection came out.
They became accessible for a lot of people because it was like everything on one console pretty much.
Yeah. So a bunch of people were able to play instead of having a Game Boy, a PS2, a PSP, a DS, a 3DS. Like so a bunch of younger fans, because like this game series is like 18 years old.
Yeah.
It makes me feel so old. But most of those people come in and I find that they're in it for the story because they heard it. But I've gotten a lot of people into it lately, a lot of my friends, a lot of my best friends, and like I find like for a long time I was really embarrassed about liking Kingdom Hearts, except for the stuff I saw online because I mean like it's one of those things when you're a kid, like I didn't really talk about liking anime to begin with.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking Disney crossover with anime, and like they talk about hearts and they talk about friendship, and there is very, very questionable dialogue, and we all know it's silly, but I also grew up with it, so like I look at it really fondly. Like there's a lot of times where I sit at night and I'm like, I get warm fuzzies because I think about Kingdom Hearts 2. Like, I think about the feelings I had when I first played it. I think about, like, how do I explain this? Like, I don't think the Kingdom Hearts story is anything, like, it's not deep. It's not, like, super deep, and it's not that complicated. People say it's complicated, but if you just played the games, it's like
honestly, like from what I know about it, and I don't know a whole lot, but like from the gist I've gotten just like over the years, like from osmosis, like it doesn't, like people meme about it, but it doesn't seem like that much more like complicated than like your average like shonen like anime. Or am I using the right expression there? Like Hunter x Hunter, My Hero Academia, like that type of thing.
Yeah, well,
with like the rotating cast, like a large amount of characters to keep track of. Like I don't think it's like that much more complicated than that.
Yeah, my best comparison is Kingdom Hearts has done what the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done for movies.
Oh.
Like, yeah, well, it's one of the longest running series in a video game that's like one cohesive story. Like obviously Final Fantasy's been going on forever, but most of them are connected.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts they're all connected. It's all one story. And like, yeah, you would maybe like if you were a diehard Marvel fan, you would probably watch all the movies and probably have all the way up to Endgame or whatever.
Yeah.
And you missed out on it. Like I know they're not too like. Remember when Thor like got corn stuck up his ass? Yeah, like wow.
Yeah.
I haven't watched a Marvel movie in years. And you'd be like, oh, I don't remember that or something like that.
Yeah.
But like you would want to watch all of them, right?
Yeah. No.
To get the emotional core of Endgame.
Yeah.
And Kingdom Hearts is the same way. Like I feel like to get a lot of the emotional core, especially in Kingdom Hearts 3, like I remember I was arguing with someone because they were like, Kingdom Hearts 3 is bad because I don't understand what's going on. And I'm like, well, there was 11 games before it, and there are moments set up specifically for KH fans to go nuts over, like batshit ballistic. There was parts in the Kingdom Hearts 3 that if you were someone who was just like, I'm going to play Kingdom Hearts 3 and I've never played any of the game, you would just be like, why is this trying to sell me on hype when, like, for me, it was hype. It was like 7 years hype because there are some characters that I haven't seen canonically in 7 years, you know? And, you know, certain characters, there's a lot of, like, loss in Kingdom Hearts. Like, loss and reunion is a really big thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of my biggest weaknesses, like the touching reunion of friends.
Characters get to reunite after like 5 games apart or something.
Yeah, and like a war. And tax evasion, like it's so, and like there's always like beautiful music in the background, and it's always just like a really huge swell of emotion, and it feels, if you've been in it for that long, or if you were just like cared about the characters even enough, like you will feel that emotional connection. You will feel like bitter. I find that like most of the time when I'm playing Kingdom Hearts, I feel really good, but I like there's always like an overtone of bittersweetness, like all the time, especially with KH2's ending, I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna tell you about these things.
Yeah.
It was very bittersweet, and that was probably the reason why I cried, because you see the last two games, friends were separated, and a whole bunch of stuff happens, and you kind of get to see the organic, albeit really frustrating, come to events where they can finally be together again.
Mm-hmm.
And some characters don't get so lucky, and you feel really sad about it. Because there's so many points in the game where like your humanity and whether you deserve to have the life that everyone else gets to have, like,
Mm-hmm.
is that a privilege, or like, do I really have a heart, or am I just like everybody else? And
Mm-hmm.
some characters are outright denied that. So
The sadness.
when certain, arcs happen, and you finally get to see the conclusion that you've been hoping for these characters.
Yeah, you finally get payoff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about KH2, and KH2 is so bittersweet because, like, I remember reading an interview where I think Nomura said that KH2 was supposed to be the end at some point. This is at and I can totally get it. And here's the thing, if KH2 was the last Kingdom Hearts game, I'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
It leaves off on a note that I cannot explain, but I am like totally like, this is it. This is the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I obviously don't know the specifics, but I think I like get like the kind of tone you mean, where it's like they could continue it, but it's like it would also be a fitting like kind of open-ended ending type thing.
Yeah, well, and it's really weird because it is and it's not. It's pretty conclusive, but it's like,
okay.
Yeah, it's so hard to explore.
Yeah, I figure.
Without giving away elements of the plot, and
But that's actually really interesting because I don't know if I've heard it like compared to like the MCU before, but I like totally get that, where it's like, yeah, like technically, like if you went into like Avengers Endgame or something, it's like, oh, you could probably like kind of get by and like at least kind of know what's going on if you'd only seen like like the main Avengers movies before or something. But if you'd been like actually keeping up with the movies, like over the years had just like become so invested in these characters that then by the time you do get to like something happens that's been like built up, or like that the fandom has like been wondering about for like literally years, like literally hours of your time have been spent like discussing like, can Captain America lift Thor's hammer? And then like they finally pay off like that emotional thread or whatever, and it's like, oh my god, that's the good shit. Yeah. Like I'm fairly certain, because obviously like I come from a place where I have had that, and KH3, there was one moment where I got up and I screamed. I like scream cried. I was so happy. It was Roxas. I mean, like, Roxas is my favorite character. He has been my favorite character for years. I'm totally and utterly biased towards Roxas in every single. I'm like, wait, is Roxas your profile picture right now on Discord?
Yes, that's him.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't like a different Kingdom Heart boy, but I was like, yeah, that checks.
I mean, there are some that look the exact same.
Exactly. I know that aspect, so I was like, is that one Roxas? Am I hipping with it?
I recently saw a TikTok that was like supposed to be like funny because this girl was trying to explain certain characters that were like that looked the same, but then she said something wrong, and I was like, you're wrong. Like, she said Sora and Roxas were the same person. They aren't the same person. They're like trying to explain like the difference between Sora, Roxas, Vanitas, and Ventus, and they're like, Vanitas and Ventus aren't the same person, and Sora and Vanitas aren't the same person, but Roxas and Sora are the same person. And I'm like, how did you miss that emotional beat where Sora tells Roxas that he's his own person? I am like so disappointed in you. I was like, like a moment like 4 a.m. in my bed and like scrolling through Twitter, and I was just
How
like,
could you?
I can't believe this shit. Like,
you fucking posted this on the internet. What is wrong with you?
I was just so like put off, and I was just like, this is sad. Like, I'm sad. But one cool thing, because you brought up with the Avengers thing, how you know, can Captain America pick up Thor's hammer or some shit. I don't really know the MCU. One of the best things to come out of Kingdom Hearts is that it's so incredibly out there that there are like amazing theories. Like, there are amazing fan theories, some that I have actually witnessed be real, especially like I remember there was one that happened in KH3, and I remember seeing a video like 7 or whatever years ago, like probably like 5 or 6 or something like that. And it was like, I remember people were kind of like, nah, that's a reach, and it happened, and I was like, oh, random YouTube person,
you called it.
And it wasn't even like a voice video, because it was like, you know, like 2013 and shit like that. It was just like a comparison clip by clip. For anyone who is wondering, without spoilers for Josh, it was a moment with the Wayfinder trio and Ansem's Cum Guardian, or Terranor's Cum Guardian. I call him the Cum Guardian because Ansem says Cum Guardian, and he appears and guards Ansem from being hit.
No, that sounds like a canon name too. I'm just imagining that in like the Disney font.
The Cum Guardian.
The Cum Guardian with the little like over the castle. Ding.
Yeah, like my friend P said. She said it's just a comparison on like a physical gesture. Like someone pieced it together just by one small action, and it was true.
Oh,
and
shit.
I think that's the funniest thing ever. Also, a bunch of people, some who I am friends with on Twitter.com, they created a massive document called the Sleeping Realm Theory, and it was before Remind came out, because Remind was the DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3, which was essentially the final mix, because, you know, we live in the era of the DLC.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't want to talk about Twitter.com. That's why I whisper it. Like, it's like
the forbidden website.
Twitter.com is not a good website. That's not my favorite web zone. Leave a comment on this web zone if you like a pizza roll.
Sponsored by Totino's.
Yeah, Totino's pizza roll. It's like, but before that came out, there was a lot of stuff that happened in K3 that was like actually inherently confusing, like batshit confusing, and they put like so much time and effort into this 400-page document.
Oh Jesus, 400 pages.
Yeah, it was nuts. I've read it all. It was and like some of the beats missed, but the main core of the theory was correct, which was nuts to me. It's kind of hard to like explain it, but like I would say the main core of the theory was correct in most ways, with different wording and stuff like that. But yeah, it's kind of nuts how dedicated people are to creating these theories and just like finding out that they're somehow true. Cause like,
oh god, yeah, like the fact that they wind up like actually being true, and like that's something that like they can piece together. Like that's like the best kind of theorizing, whenever like it does wind up like, oh thank god, like that was what they were going for. Like we're not just reading too much into this.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about Kingdom Hearts: you really can. There is no limit. You cannot read too much into anything. I swear to God, because like I said, like Kingdom Hearts isn't deep. It's not like, but it can run deep in the same way. Like, see, here's the thing: I'm not smart in English. I can't think of like perfect.
There's a lot of like potential there for like. Would it be fair to say like the characters have a lot of like potential for the fandom to like explore and like put a deeper kind of lens on? Does that make sense?
Yes. I mean, there's one character who is like literally like wrapped in the most mystery just because Nomura just keeps putting him in things. But like he doesn't remember anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just like, what are you? Like, and the way that Nomura tells the story, like I do think that there were some things that he thought of in advance, but I think a lot of the way that Nomura writes is, I think this is really cool, so I'm gonna add this to my story. Like, I don't think he follows a certain narrative arc or like a timeline. He doesn't sit down and really commit to it. He's just like, I put this in Kingdom Hearts 1 and I didn't really think about it back then, but now that we're dawning on a new timeline in Kingdom Hearts 5, I can connect something all the way back there to something now. Because he just wants to do that. Like everything has to be connected somehow. Like that picture of Charlie from Always Sunny, like that's the way it is, and that's the way some people feel sometimes when they're.
I like that, like both the fandom and the creator being like interested in like being able to kind of work in that environment together. I like that. I wish he was my dad. Like, Nomura is so crazy. I wish he was my dad. Nomura, you have dad. Nomura, if you're listening, please dad for us.
I was waiting. I was like, do I have to say something? Because I'm taking a drink. How do I... I'm like trying to like explain. I'm trying to go more in like Kingdom Hearts 2 in general, because I told you I would go on a tangent on the series as a whole, because like
I think that's what I kind of like want to do with the show is like, I don't like, if I ask someone like what their favorite game is and they like absolutely cannot decide at all, like I would still be okay with that being an episode, because it's still like you're still thinking about, oh, like what does get like a positive response from me. But yeah, the stuff you said about it being like kind of like that bittersweet feeling, like does it do that whole like Empire Strikes Back like middle of a trilogy? Like does it feel like a middle of a trilogy at all, or is it just like an overall like kind of bittersweetness?
I would say yes and no, like both kind of.
Okay.
I know for certain that it's like never going to be the end. Like there's always going to be some sort of explanation or some kind of out now. Like now that it's 2019 and the current saga that we were in, like all those like 11 games, like those were all part of one saga. We're actually transferring to a new part of the story, but all the main characters are staying the same. Sora's still the main character.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but the main villains are different.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually still up for debate who the real main villain is, kind of, just based on ambiguity.
Yeah.
But sorry, I'm like hiccup burping, and I'm trying to mute my mic, but it's just coming out.
I just had a cat run across my desk, so
just
all the professional podcasting.
It's okay.
What's up, Pixel?
Ambiguity. Yeah, listen, I'm Canadian. I can't speak.
Words are not our forte.
I know y'all in America say sorry. I say sorry.
Is it too late now to say sorry?
Sorry. Put on your toque and go outside.
Oh, okay. Here's a question. We might be getting into the deep stuff. This is more for like Kingdom Hearts in general, but I guess it's something like I'm personally interested about. So there's like, as we said before, there's a lot of shipping that seems to go on in the Kingdom Hearts community. Do you think there's like a specific do you think that the Kingdom Hearts fandom has like more of that than like the average fandom, or like if there's anything like kind of unique about the Kingdom Hearts fandom compared to like other fandoms you've been a part of or anything like that? I guess it doesn't like just have to be like in terms of the shipping stuff, but
That's a loaded question. That is such.
Oh shit! Okay.
I am. Oh, okay. I'm gonna be honest when I say back in the day, Kingdom Hearts 2 was the reason why I discovered the fact that, well, I didn't discover people could be gay, but it was the first time I was like, oh my god, this is like gay. And like this is around the time where I was trying to figure out myself. Like I had crushes on girls, and I thought it was like, you know, like they're my best friend. Yeah. You know, why am I jealous when they talk to men? You know, but Kingdom Hearts 2 was the first time I was like, oh, this is kind of gay, like, for real. And the reason being, I'm going to say the reason being is because Nomura is really good at writing friendships. He is so god-awful at writing romances between a heterosexual male and a heterosexual female. He is so bad at it, but he's so good at writing friendships, and there's a level of vulnerability that each character has in Kingdom Hearts, especially the dudes. Like boys cry like all the time in Kingdom Hearts, which is nice. There's no like there's no like don't cry.
Yeah, kind of. But yeah, they don't have to like be masculine or like like, yeah.
The game said no toxic masculine.
Yeah.
Basically, like, and it's very, you know, I'm like reading chat and they're like filling in like the gaps in my like my brain's having lapses, and they're like, Cait, keep on going, and in the gaps for me. Yeah, so I'm also going to tag on that too. The reason why a lot of queer folk like myself seem to derive, you know, any sort of gay subtext from it is because the friendships are so genuine. A lot of us start out having romances from friendship. You know, it's romance based on a long-standing, really earnest friendship that someone has had, and there's oh my god, but yeah. I wouldn't say there's more shipping than any other piece of anime-ass media. But there are certain characters, like someone brought up Riku. Riku at first is really stupid. God, I love you, Riku. He's very much, in the beginning, he's very much the boy who seeks power and wants to be somewhere else. Like, he wants more for his life. He wants to be stronger. But like, he actually gets the most growth throughout the entire series. He becomes a very sacrificial character, a very loving character, and above all else, he cares about his friends more than anything. And he knows that he made mistakes, and he feels terrible, and he feels like he needs to atone for the mistakes he did for his friends, who he absolutely adores. And at first, he tries to hide these emotions from them. But yeah, he is arguably probably him and Axel. I'm gonna say Riku has the most coherent character arc, but Axel also has a very good arc, and because Axel is originally a bad guy, but due to having really solid and beautiful friendships with two other people, he begins to like basically, you know, like have a heart, and he goes through like those emotions and stuff, while simultaneously not trying to keep everything from not falling apart and all this other stuff. But a lot of the male characters in particular are very open with their feelings, and when they're not, it's for deeply emotional reasons.
Yeah.
So a lot of shipping comes from the fact that there's just a lot of friendships, and especially between males. Like the women in Kingdom Hearts do not get a lot of screen time in the same way that men do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still like female characters I love, like Naminé. Naminé is my favorite. She is quintessential what I love in a character, and she has a great arc. in Chain of Memories. Chain of Memories is basically nominated the game, and I love it for that reason. But every other female character, I'm not going to say they lack or anything, because there are some that get development, and some who have great stories, but you don't really get to see too much of that natural progression. And like obviously like Sora and Riku have like one game where they're like joint protagonists and all that stuff. You just get to see a lot more.
Yeah. From what I've seen of the series, like it seems like the dudes do get a bit more focus.
But Aqua's a big fan of. She's like one of the main characters in Birth by Sleep, and you get to play as her, like actually. So, and people tend to like her because she's a girl who hits things.
Yeah, I think that's like super interesting that like because the series like shows something that was, and especially for like when Kingdom Hearts like 1 and 2 were coming out, like early 2000s, like I feel like so many video games were like up their own ass with like how to show masculinity and stuff like that.
Come back to my house, we're gonna eat Doritos and play Halo Combat Evolved.
Yeah, like, so I feel like just the fact of having like well-written like male characters that like weren't like showing off for each other, like we gotta do the mission, bro, and like I like that was probably a rarity in the game space. So I can definitely see like why that would appeal to a large amount of people, to like see like not just like positive male role models, but like just male characters that were willing to be open and like emotional and like actually have friendships and like relationships and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. And I think that that's also something like I wouldn't want. This is something I'm kind of interested in because I'm trying to like unpack. So did you see that I came out?
I'm in my armchair right now. Wait, what?
Did you see that I came out as pan like about a month ago?
Absolutely. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. But the only reason I say wasn't just like dropping like, did you know?
The fun fact about me.
Did you know gay me? Okay.
Shane's gonna copyright you.
Shane's gonna destroy this stream from orbit.
Yeah.
But that's something that I've been like trying to like kind of unpack, was like, was there anything like games that I played like growing up that like was there any aspects of like me growing up as like kind of a nerdy guy that was actually like issues or not, like I don't know how to say it, but like, I guess I'm trying to explore like if there was any
that
like
culture had something to do with you not figuring yourself out until you were like 25.
Yeah, and like trying to figure out like was there any art that like maybe connected with me a bit like because of that, or because it was like different from what I was used to and like appealed to that like queer side of me without me like realizing it at the time. So it's like trying to like unpack that sort of thing. So it's interesting to like to hear from people that like kind of or knew some or felt it more like in the moment and like kind of learned that stuff with a series like Kingdom Hearts. I think that's really cool.
Oh yeah, I was floored. I was like, dude, we love each other.
Anime boys loving each other. I love it.
I mean, that's like a bygone era of internet, because like that's a whole other can of worms I'm not going to go into, but like there, especially the days of unadulterated DeviantArt fuckery that came about when people learned that two guys could be together. I'm going to say, I mean, obviously everyone's been there. I know everyone's been there. People act like they weren't, but you got to look at your roots.
Yeah.
And you got to reflect. But yeah, I was so enraptured by it, and there were so many moments that I was just like, I'm going to say this too, like there's a big theme in Kingdom Hearts 2 in particular about the reunion among friends that have been gone for many reasons that pushing them apart. I actually recently moved around that time too. I moved from a town like about 30 minutes away, and you know, I had all my friends there, and I moved to a new elementary school Like I was going into grade 6, and that's like such an awkward place to move in, like because everyone already knows each other in elementary, and you're like the dumb weird kid that likes to run on all fours and pretend you're a Jolteon, and everyone looks at you with their dollars for makeup, and they're like, "Why the fuck are you running around and screaming Jolteon?" They don't want to play Pokemon with me. So you're the weird kid.
Aww.
And when I met my friend, she lived like 4 houses down the road from me, and she just by happened to pick up Kingdom Hearts 2, but like it was at a time where I was missing a lot of my old friends. Like I still talk to them, but it was really weird. We were in like this weird county where like a phone call 30 minutes away was long distance, so I couldn't talk to them as much because it was really expensive, which was weird. I mean, that was the only way I could contact my friends was phone calls. I mean, I would be on the phone for 2 hours. That's so weird. Like just be on my home phone. And
I remember whenever I would have to used to do that to like talk with my friends. They were only like half an hour away, but like they were like we were in the same school district, but they'd be like on the opposite side. So like you wouldn't see them in person as much outside of school. So you just talk on the home phone and clog the line until your mom needed it to call someone.
Mom needed to use the internet.
Good old dial-up.
Yeah, so I felt a lot of those emotions of wanting to see my friends again, because I moved away from, like, I've had, when you're a kid, you have best friends, but if you're like me, and I was born into a military family, I was used to moving away, but it never got easier each time, especially if I was in a place for longer than a few years, and I would grow attached to people, and then I would move away, and then I'd be like, shit. Now I gotta find out who also likes Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Beyblade, and playing a Pokemon outside and running on all fours.
You gotta tick all those boxes.
Likes to do it. So I really resonated with that when the gang got all back together, and there's this beautiful piano music playing in the background. I cried for more reasons than one, or when I say I'm really serious when I say that KH2 just came at the right time, and I think
I love that.
Not to be the gayest person alive, I would not be the same person I am today without Kingdom Hearts 2. And I mean that.
I love it.
Like I wouldn't be as empathetic. I wouldn't be as attached to people. I wouldn't believe in love as much as I do now. I'm getting like emotional. Like I think about KH2 and I get like severely emotional. I mean it. If I would not be the same person if I didn't play Kingdom Hearts 2 at the age of 12 years old. I wouldn't have the same creative aspirations. When I hear Dearly Beloved, like when I open up Kingdom Hearts 2 and I hear the Cait's version of Kingdom Hearts 2, and it's this beautiful song accompanying with the soothing sound of waves rolling in the shore, like it feels like home.
I love that like a video game can have like that big an impact on like someone growing up. Like a team of a whole bunch of people in Japan made like a software product that got translated over by another group of people and then was just like the perfect mixture of like emotional sincerity and like anime cringe and like everything to like have an impact on a bunch of people's lives. Like that's so cool to me.
I'm gonna bring up like a YouTuber. When you ever play the games, there's this YouTuber called King K, and I really like his videos. And I remember in his KH2 video, like he gets kind of sentimental about it, and like I did too. Like it was probably one of the first times that I watched a YouTuber specifically for like Kingdom Hearts content, or any content really, because like I've been in that scene before, and I've just never met someone who's done the same thing. Not like I'm okay or anything.
Yeah.
But I have never watched a video or a series of videos, especially the one about Kingdom Hearts 2 really got my gut. That felt the exact same way as I did. Like, I felt so good. Like, I felt so validated.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've never had anyone else say out loud the same things that I felt playing a video game. And someone who has ever, like, expressed, like, the same emotional capacity they have for a video game. And, like, a lot of the people that I've gotten into Kingdom Hearts in this past year or so, like, I've gotten, like, probably a total of 3 or 4 people into it. They, you know, just binged it within the last year, and they're like, you know, in their 20s and stuff like that. So they don't have that same connection as I do to something like that. I mean, no one's going to have the same experience. I don't think anyone's going to, you know, no one can have the same experience.
Yeah.
But I don't know, growing up with a game series as long as this one, and just being the right age, and just having that, I don't know, just when you're a kid, like, you get attached to things, like, and it's so weird because, like, I know Kingdom Hearts is silly, like, I know it's absurd, it's silly, but I think a lot of people, I have noticed that a lot of people get really offended if you don't like it, or if you say it's bad, and I'm also one of those people. Like, I'm 26 years old now, so I can roll with the punches, and I can be like, yeah, it's pretty silly.
Yeah.
Goofy is in the video game. Chip and fucking Dale.
Yeah, you could poke fun at something you like, but you wouldn't. People shouldn't be discounting the entire series, like, because of that.
Yeah, but it's like, a lot of people get offended because I think they have, at least if they grew up with it, you know, like, they have the same connection. They're like, I've been with the series for so long. I felt certain things because of it. Like, I got into it in a time where I was, like, that open to just watch something and be into it, you know? And, like, you know, how do I explain this? I'm going on, like, this really weird emotional tangent.
No, it's all good.
I'm trying to explain how I feel, but my words come up like a food processor.
Just a guttural scream of emotion into the microphone, I think, is the best thing to do on a podcast.
I do not want to blow anyone's ear, especially with this shitty ass mic. But I get why people can kind of get, like, sore about it. And I know that it's silly, because I know there's a ton of people who don't care for the story, but they think the gameplay is so much fun, so they don't care. And that's totally valid too, because I think the game is fun to play.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're like, whatever, blah blah blah, Disney, it's still a fun game to play regardless. And
like my roommate, I don't think he's played, like, every Kingdom Hearts game, but he is, like, he keeps up with the series, and I don't think he has, like, an emotional attachment to the story from what he's told to me. Like, he does really like the RPG aspects, but he does seem to like he accepts that, like, the series is just like that the over the top nature. Yeah, like, he accepts that the over the top nature, like, isn't specifically for him, but, like, he likes other people enjoying that aspect or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm totally up for whatever people want to talk. I will talk about it all the time. Like, I will. If you stuck me in a room and one person was wearing one piece of Kingdom Hearts memorabilia, I will literally sit there in one spot and shake visibly.
Just Sonic the Hedgehog over to them.
Well, it's one of those things where I'm shaking because I'm like, I want to talk about Kingdom Hearts, but I have inescapable social anxiety to not come off as very, like, hyperactive freakazoid, being like, so I see you have a Kingdom Hearts merchandise.
Oh God.
One pin. Tell me about it. What's your favorite part?
I like that too. That, like, the series was like, really impactful and, like, came at like a good time when you were younger, but then also like it's something you still can, like, engage with on, like, an adult level, like, today. Like, you're still getting something out of it, and you're like, it's not just nostalgia or anything like that.
Oh yeah, like there are still parts of it. Like there's parts of Kingdom Hearts that absolutely laughed my ass off. I thought they were so just for the sake of they were just stupid. But when it comes down to the emotional cores, like the emotional core of the series always gets to me. Like it's always there, and it's always the same flavor, and it's always like, hey Cait, you haven't cried in like 5 hours, so we better fix that, loser. And I'm like,
remember this?
Yeah, and the games are always fun. I kind of, as I get older, I am less attracted to the Disney worlds in the sense that, like, I mean, I want to explore and I want to have fun in Disney worlds. Like Tangled World is so good. I love Tangled World. That was a new one in KH3. There was also like, I try not to watch a lot of trailers because I find Square Enix has this habit of being like, here's everything this game has to offer in one trailer. I hope you get spoiled.
Yeah.
And so I tried to get away from that. But like we knew every single world going into KH3, but when I was a kid, I was stupid. And I was illiterate, and I didn't know you could buy gaming magazines or anything like that. So I didn't know like anything about Kingdom Hearts. So whenever I would play a new game, I'd be like, "Whoa! I can't wait to find out what Disney worlds there are." And I lost my shit. Mulan World.
Oh God!
China, but they call it the Land of Dragons. Can't call it China. And stuff like that. Like I get so like. Whoa, riled up. Not so much anymore. I'm still a big Disney fan. I'll still watch, like, I still prefer to watch animated movies over things with real life acting.
Yeah.
Still. But it's more so, because, like, I think when, like, Kingdom Hearts is given the rights to, like, just do its own thing, it's really good. But it's so, like, integral, like Disney is so integral to like how Kingdom Hearts functions that if it wasn't there it would feel hollow and stupid. But like
but it's not like the main appeal to you anymore.
No, not entirely, because like I still love it, I still adore it, because I'm still like whoa, this is great. I didn't care about, I don't even like, they were like, here, go to Big Hero 6 World. And I was just like, the whole time I was in Big Hero 6 World, I hate Big Hero 6. So I was like, I don't care about Baymax. Like, so I was like, I did not want to be in that world. I was just like, I don't care. Cityscape.
Yeah, and I feel like by Kingdom Hearts 3, like whenever you've had so much build up, like going into it, it's like, okay, yeah, like Toy Story World's cool, but I want to have, like, you're more focused on, like, the resolution from the characters you've been, like, with the entire time, not Mike and Sully showing up.
It's funny because Toy Story World is probably the most, like, in KH3, it's, like, the most involved with the actual story.
I just fucking, like, I have no context for it, but the memes of, like, Woody being super serious towards anime villains.
Yeah! Oh my god!
I love that shit.
Sheriff Woody throws down with one of the main antagonists, and it's like the best thing ever. And him and like Buzz have this really like intimate moment, and it's so funny to me. Like I lost my shit. Like there's this point where like Buzz gets like mind controlled, and
I love it.
And like Woody saves him, and he like he snaps him out of his dark mode, and like Buzz is like, what happened? And then like Woody says, had to switch you out of dark and story mode. And then Buzz like looks at him and he's like, I don't have a dark and story mode. But then he like stops, like he's thinking, and then he goes, and he like clutches like his heart. And I cried because I was laughing so hard. It was just, Buzz Lightyear.
Buzz Lightyear, like legitimately like pondering like, what have I done?
Yeah, it was, oh my god, it was so funny. But Toy Story is the best. Also, Toy Sora is like the best Sora ever. I love Toy Sora. He looks so cute.
Oh, that's a really cute design.
He looks like a toy because he's a little toy, and I'm like, ah! You know. I was just seeing like chat and stuff. But like, how do I explain? I think KH3 did a better job with kind of combining the main story of Kingdom Hearts, like the plot, with the Disney worlds. Because before, I mean, Kingdom Hearts 2 suffers from this a lot. So, like, they would have story beats, and then they'd be like, now go fuck off in 7 to 8 Disney worlds. And then it would trigger, like, an event, and you would get, like...
And then you go, now the plot can go forward.
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes or, like, 10 minutes of, like, pure unadulterated plot, and you're like, oh my god, Kingdom Hearts plot, ugh. And then you go back to doing 7 or 8, whatever, Disney worlds, which aren't bad, but it's just more so, like, I get really excited. Honestly, like, there's a point in Kingdom Hearts 2, it's actually, like, the hypest moment in all of video game history, which is, like, it's, like, the exact middle of the game. It's, like, oh, it's so... Oh! Yeah, it's really good. But because of the Disney worlds, they've always had to kind of follow this kind of story structure where they do plot in the beginning, and then they kind of maybe sprinkle a little bit between Disney worlds, but it's usually exclusively some Disney World stuff, which can have stuff included in it. I'm not saying it doesn't. Yeah. Because most of the time, you show up in, like, Tarzan world and there's, like, Heartless and shit, and they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you solve
gorillas.
Yeah, you solve the problems for, like, the individual Disney characters. Then okay, I guess we're going off to the plot again.
Yeah. Hi, we're all friends.
Yeah.
And, leaves and then at the end, like, the end of a Kingdom Hearts game is always, like, balls to the walls, like, crazy, because it's just pure unadulterated plot, and it's just like, full speed ahead. We're going into, like,
maximum
everything.
blood.
We're hitting all the beats. We're fighting the main boss, and it's so good. And I think, and it's really weird, because this used to be controversial. I think a lot more people are more open to it now, but Kingdom Hearts 2 starts in a really particular way where instead of Sora, we have Roxas, and we kind of have this 3-hour-long prologue with Roxas, and I love it because I'm not to be biased because I love Roxas. This is the reason why I like him, is because there's a 3-hour prologue about his story and what's going on with him, and then we transition to Sora, and then we start going to Disney worlds. But, like, there's 3 hours of, like, a really good fucking plot. Like, it's really good. Like, but a lot of people, when they were younger, or even now, some people don't like it. It's because when you were a kid, we didn't know who Roxas was.
Yeah, it's like, who the fuck is this character? I wanted to play Kingdom Hearts 2. Yeah, that's like that's a risky storytelling decision, so I get why it's controversial. But that's cool that, like, a lot of people do think it works out too.
Yeah, so it was like a lot of people were like, where's Sora? Why am I playing as this random kid on a summer vacation? Why am I doing odd jobs? It's not mundane, and it's really weird because you're trying to play out the life of a teen on a summer vacation, but all this weird fucking shit's happening to him, but you're just trying to go through the motions, and yeah, it's a subversion of expectations, and it's so good. And, like, when you transition to Sora, it's like the carpet is yanked out from underneath you. Like, there's, like, this, it's really good.
That's it.
I love the beginning to Kingdom Hearts 2. Like, it's just solid. It's really good. Like, when you let Nomura do something like that, like, it's good. Like, I like it when he's able to genuinely just write some good shit without having to prattle around the pacing of going to Disney World. So, yeah. It's, you get Sora back, but God, at what cost? Like, I'm not going to spoil it for him, but yeah, it's so...
I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna check these out, I think, once I'm done Ghost of Tsushima.
That was my plan. I was gonna sell you some Kingdom Hearts. I'm so excited. I'm getting all my friends in Kingdom Hearts in 2019.
I was tricked. You came out of this podcast to convert me.
I did. Like, when I got back into Kingdom Hearts, because I kind of, like, dipped out after Dream Drop Distance for a while, and then when, like, they were starting to rev things up a tiny bit into 2017 with like testing out. They did like that little weird demo thing on the PS4. I didn't have a PS4, and I didn't really want to buy one at the time because I didn't have money. And two, I wasn't sure because I didn't want to like. I've always been the kind of person that bought consoles for a specific game. Because I bought like literally almost every Nintendo console so I could play Animal Crossing. Like that's my legacy. Bought a Wii for City Folk. That's a woof. But I didn't want to buy one until I was sure. But I was out of it for a while. So when I was like, I get to play all the games and I don't have to fish out all my consoles. Because I did at some point get a PS2 and get my own copy of Kingdom Hearts 2 and all this stuff. But these had the upgraded versions. We never got Final Mix in the West. It was like a Japan exclusive.
Yeah.
So these all include some extra bosses and some additional cutscenes and whatever. For the longest time, I've started playing more games, so I'm not like,
just Kingdom Hearts.
Gamer. Yeah, for a long time, my PS4 was just a Kingdom Hearts machine. Let's be honest. But now it's a Kingdom Hearts machine. Plus any other stupid Square Enix shit that comes out.
If they got spiky hair, they're allowed on.
Yeah. And, it's... Yeah, and I mean, like, it's like 7 games. Like, you get a lot out of it. Like,
that's, like, that's a fantastic deal for, like, $30 US. Like, an entire franchise. And that's what I really liked about the past few years with, like, all these game collections coming out is just having everything in one spot and just you can experience that, like, because I have missed out on all the Kingdom Hearts games, like I can just have everything all organized and like able to play it on one thing. I don't need to like, okay, here's my DS Fat and here's my PSP and here's my Japan exclusive cell phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good times. I think I had heard about that. There is like an actual like cell phone exclusive Kingdom Hearts game, isn't there? Isn't that one of like the ones
There's one for smartphones now. Well, there's 2 actually. There's 2 for smartphones now. One was just released. The other one's like a super prequel. The one you're talking about, it was coded originally. So there was like a phone game for like flip phones. And it was like originally episodic, and it would come out. It was a Japanese exclusive game, and I think honestly, at first I feel like it was just made for people to have some Kingdom Hearts shit on the go. But then obviously you can't.
Then they
have
made
a
it
Kingdom
canon
Hearts game without having really specific weird plot shit in it. So what they did is they ported it to the DS. And then it became like a DS title. And the thing about Coded is it feels like you're playing something for no reason, like for real, but it's a fun game. I think it's actually pretty fun because they did something different. Like they did like each world has like a different gimmick to it. Like one's like a rail shooter. You would do some platforming stuff. The platforming stuff isn't that great. Hercules World in particular is like plays out like a turn-based RPG. Like it's really weird. They just like really mix stuff up. But at least I was like, yeah, okay. And I like the cut. It's weird because I remember I played it a long time ago. It was one of those things I borrowed from like Blockbuster or some shit. And Blockbuster was around. I don't actually own Coded.
Good old
I
Blockbuster.
don't own Coded. Blockbuster. And I thought it was competent to play, and I thought it was decent. When I got the thing, they just made it into a cutscene compilation. And there was a couple of times where I fell asleep, but there are really good parts of it. But like, I'm not here to sell you on like the cutscene compilation.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're serviceable. Like,
I feel like that's just something like you watch like once you're invested in the series, and like because then like you'll want to know more, and it's like, hell yeah, give me more lore.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the cutscene compilations are like The ones that you need to really launch are like for Days and for Coded. And it's just because those were DS games and they weren't gonna rebuild them from the ground up.
Yeah, that would be a lot of work to remake to make like not trash on a PS4. So yeah, it probably wasn't worth the effort in terms of like what they need that collection to have, just like getting you caught up on the story.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, but they really are just cutscenes strung together. So like, I think one of the weirdest things, I am going to talk about Days because I actually like, I've been playing it again. I played it when I was younger, and then I bought myself another copy because I either lost it or I just borrowed it from a friend. But I started playing it and it's still going because it's like, they tried to fit Kingdom Hearts 2 gameplay on a DS and it's not very good. But Days is about characters. It's a Roxas focused game. And it's focused on certain parts of the game that are like what you get in Kingdom Hearts 2. Like you kind of like it takes place between like Kingdom Hearts 2 and Chain of Memories. Like it's like there's like a year gap between Chain of Memories and Kingdom Hearts 2. This fills in the gap. It's like it's an intercourse.
Yeah.
As it is. And it's just to kind of like lay down some groundwork for characters that you wanted to see more of. They do add like another character who's great. But it's basically doing a job, and after every job, a couple set of characters as friends would meet with each other, and like so many things happen, but like your missions actually feel like work because they're fucking boring and I hate them. So you like do these missions that take like a half hour and you're like, God. But then you see these characters meet the end of it and you're like, it's like a reward. You're like,
it's
oh my
all
God.
worth it. Yeah.
I get to see Axel. I fucking love that guy. Oh my God. And then and then you go on another mission. It actually really feels like, wow, I'm going to do work, and then afterwards I get to see my friends again.
Man, that's like how I feel about like the Mass Effect games with bad combat.
Yeah, like you get the payoff is getting to see all the people.
Yeah, you put in the work, and then you get new dialogue with teammates you enjoy hanging out with. Everybody wins.
Yeah, like. Would I suggest playing Days over the cutscene compilation? Yes, but I wouldn't expect anyone to because I don't expect anyone to buy it. But it's like there's an inherent loss to the context if you're watching the cutscene for Days. It's because you just see the parts where they get together.
Yeah, and you don't like work for.
Yeah, it doesn't feel earned, and it's called 358 over 2 days because it's 358 days over the course of two people's lives. And it really feels like you're living out that fucking year playing it, whereas you're kind of just seeing the bits and pieces of something coming together, and like you get the important stuff, but there's like a part where someone loses their power, so you have to go on the job with them and like help them relearn how to get their power back. There's parts where characters go missing and you're just expected to work for like 15 days. Hi, Percy. And and when they finally come back, you're like, wow, where the hell have you been? And like, but you don't get that watching the cutscene compilation because you're just getting to those points right away.
That's super interesting. That like I guess they want to like have those cutscenes on just like in the most efficient way possible if they're not gonna like port the game. But yeah, like you miss out on like the pacing of like having something in between these story beats. It'd be the like it'd be the same like if you had an action, like not exactly the same, but like if you had an action movie and you cut out like the action scenes or whatever, it would just be like characters like meeting up and talking like in between stuff, and it's like nothing happened to earn that.
Yeah. The gameplay is an absolute chore. There's some missions that are just like absolutely bogus. There's some bosses that are stupid, but it feels good, and you really feel Days. I'm gonna just say it right now. It's a tragedy. Days is not a fun time. Everyone's sad.
Big old sad game.
Yeah, it is. And it really is amplified by the combat because you are Roxas. I'm just going to say Roxas.
Mm-hmm.
And you're trying to live out this life, and you're trying to find the meaning of your fucking existence and trying to have like seek some sort of normalcy and understand who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And all this bad shit keeps happening, and these guys are like, you gotta work or we'll fucking eviscerate you. And you're just like, okay. And yeah, it's just it's
like the name of the game itself is like, damn, like I've always been on the haha Kingdom Heart names funny like train. But, like, when you explain it like that, yeah, like 358 days, like, that sounds like it's supposed to feel like a longer time or, like that passage of time is important to, like, the game's themes in general. So, yeah, that would be, like, you're changing a lot if you're removing some of that time and, like, the actual busy work that goes into it.
Yeah, and the game came out after Kingdom Hearts 2, so you find that you come to the conclusion of Kingdom Hearts 2, and then you finally get a glimpse of what happened in between them, because, like I said, there's a year between Chain of Memories and Cait 2. Mm-hmm. So you know there's a definitive amount of time between these two games, and you know the outcomes of what happens from Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah.
So you're already set up in this headspace to be like, this is not going to go well.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's just sad. Like, you do not play 358 over 2 days to be like, yay, we're sorry, we're going to Frozen World. I have to watch Let It Go. Like, actually.
You're like,
also build a castle.
It's kind of amazing. It's kind of amazing that you're like explaining like this is why this game is like sad and like grueling and like takes a while and stuff like that. And it's making me like more interested in checking out the franchise because I'm like, shit, I don't think there's a whole lot of video games that are like allowed to have a sad ending or like that are allowed to overall be like melancholy. Because usually video games are like a power fantasy or at least like are standalone enough that like you need some kind of like plot resolution or else like just most games wouldn't go for anything else. So that's interesting when you have a series that like you know what happens like at the end of this. You know that these characters aren't through with their shit yet, and so like having a game with that like kind of looming over it, like that like Better Call Saul prequel energy where you know shit's gonna go bad for him eventually. That's really interesting to hear in a video game.
Yeah, it's great. Like the games are sometimes silly and super cheesy at its core, but like what it does the best is just evoke emotion from like just a very raw space. Mm-hmm. And like games in general, like you see the cogs turning and all the events that come to this one conclusion that you already know of, but you don't actually know the severity of it when you play Kingdom Hearts 2 and then you go to play Days.
Yeah.
And then like certain characters' backstories just get a whole fucking lot more tragic than they already were. And then you reflect back on the Kingdom Hearts 2 and you're like, this isn't fair at all. Like what happened to these people isn't fair. And then you're just stuck with that feeling and knowing that for so goddamn long that you're just like, what is going to happen to these people? And if there's anything that's gonna happen from it at all. It's a lot to process because that came out in 2008. I was like, oh man, this is a lot.
Oh man. I'm excited now because we were talking at the start of the podcast you said you were scared to go on after like Todd because Todd is very well spoken and good at talking about video games. But I've like both episodes of this so far. I friggin' I'm jonesing to like play these now. Like I legit am probably gonna like download Kingdom Hearts 1 like once this is once this is done.
Yay.
It's exciting. I think that's probably where we're gonna have to start wrapping up like the podcast portion. But is there any like closing thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 2 or like anything? Any recommendations like to the audience on like? Well, I guess we've like talked about like the cheapest way to get into it, but just like any words to the audience.
I'm passing it out like fucking like street drugs.
You want to buy some anime?
You want to buy some emotionally crippling, flashy Square Enix particle fuckery? I guess thanks everyone for listening, because I know I'm very disjointed in the way I speak, and thank you, Josh, for letting me sit here and talk about Kingdom Hearts, mostly Kingdom Hearts as a whole, because like there isn't so much like when I think about Kingdom Hearts 2 specifically, I get really and I got to that point, I was really kind of raw with it, but like without going into spoilers, I could really only say so much, and thanks for listening, whether you're a fan of it or not. I hope I could explain my perspective on like it's absurd and silly as the series is, and I know it is. It's really special to me, and it's really special to a lot of people. And I think that getting my friends into it as an adult and having them like still enjoy it on the same level as I do as an adult really just proves to me that there's like Kingdom Hearts is really for everyone. In that sense, like it's open to everyone, and it can get it can affect you emotionally, regardless of age, and it does in the end have a good message and has taught me a lot of stuff about myself. So yeah, I don't know.
And I would even go so far as say like a lot of the stuff that people like talk about like, oh, this game's like so over the top or like so silly and stuff like that. Like, yes, there is like some like just flat out ridiculous stuff, but a lot of the time, like it sounds like a very emotionally like sincere series. And yeah, like it's not afraid of like maybe being a bit goofy or whatever if it winds up at the end of the day having a higher emotional impact. Because yeah, even if all these characters have like wild names or like their plan is convoluted and stuff like that, like there's obviously an emotional core that's connecting with people, and like maybe it's even because of this like over the topness that like it does connect with people, because it's like a heightened sense of reality or like heightened storytelling. And I think that like if it's obviously been like such an impactful series on people. So I'm glad that like you were able to talk about it and like vent about like how much you love it, because obviously it's very important to people. And I think people should like vent like that about games that have been important to them without like having to feel like like this game's not worth that, or like maybe it's a bit too silly for me to feel this strongly over. Yeah. So I think that's really cool that like you have such a connection with this game and that it means so much to you. I wish that everyone had like an experience that like deep with a video game.
Yeah, I mean, you might find out with more episodes of this podcast, your fave game at Really Freaking Clever.
Exactly. It's making me excited to hear like more stories from people. And oh god, I'm gonna have so many games I gotta play if I keep recording these at the pace I'm recording.
You're going to have some backlog.
Oh.
And it's funny because I'm like Kingdom Hearts 2, but also
these 7 games.
Yeah.
Add them to the list.
Trust me, if you get like hooked on Kingdom Hearts 1, you're probably going to end up just being like, time to play Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. And
just go right through it. If the lovely people at home, either listening to this live or listening to it on podcast networks, want to find you, where would they do so? What art do you want to plug? What do you do?
Mostly a fan artist. I draw a lot of Kingdom Hearts fan art. Wait, nope. What do you want?
You go first.
I'm like, what do you want? I'm plugging my...
Sorry, you go.
Twitter.com/Tixka. I can't even say it. It's Tixca with an underscore. And just so anyone's curious, that's just my name rearranged with an X in it. Like any of the organization members in Kingdom Hearts.
Aw, yeah.
So, Tixca underscore, that's at Twitter.
Check it out. They make really, really good art. Also, and to prove that, these will be going in the thumbnail. I didn't get to use them like yet during the stream, but Cait was very lovely and made Kingdom Hearts themed art of us for the thumbnail. Do you mind if I like show that on screen for the?
Oh, you can show it
for the Twitch.
I'm already like sending them to my fucking embarrassing shithole of a Twitter account.
There's Cait, and there's me, and my beautiful legs.
Yeah, I really had to capture the essence of Sora's boy shorts on your legs.
Oh my god. Where's my shoe? I need a shoe. I need a big ass Xbox shoe.
I could have like drawn you like really cool, but I was like, there's nothing fucking cool about Kingdom Hearts. You're gonna be embarrassed.
No, I'm okay with the Sora outfit. Well, thank you for being the second guest on this show. I had a really good time. This was a really good episode.
Thank you for having me. I know that like no one knows who I am because I'm so irrelevant and I'm not an epic YouTube streamer or some shit, but
you like Kingdom Hearts, and that's enough.
That's enough to be on a fucking wanted list. I got a warrant.
Yeah, this was all an intervention. Like I was paying attention to all the nice stuff you were saying, but Caleb, you need to have a talk.
That's gonna be after stream.
Yeah, the post stream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably end this before we keep going, because Lord knows I can keep going.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna shut down the Discord call and wrap things up on the stream. But thank you again for being a guest.
And thank you. I had so much fun.
Woo! We'll do this again sometime. I'm sure I'm gonna figure out some gimmick to get people back on and like either talk about different games or talk about the game again. Well, that's it.
And I will be there.
Yeah, no, once I start playing these, I will 100% start I will talk with you about this stuff and you can give me some perspective.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. I love you so much.
All the love.